Conjugate.
이다 할 것이다 소스, howtostudykorean.com.
Below is a list of vocabularies to be used in this lesson. Nouns.
공장 이퀄 팩토리 열 이퀄 피버 극장 이퀄 시어터 회사 이퀄 컴퍼니 장소 이퀄
Place location.
간판
Assign.
직업 자부 수업
A class that you take or teach.
고기 이퀄 미트 돼지 이퀄 피그 돼지고기 이퀄 포크 소 이퀄 타우 소고기 이퀄 비프 꽃 이퀄 플로어즈 갑 이퀄 프라이스 땅콩 이퀄 피넛 축구하다 이퀄
To play soccer.
야구하다
To play baseball.
여권 이퀄 패스포트 수건 이퀄 타월 체육 이퀄
Physical education.
지하철 이퀄 서브웨이 버브즈 되다 이퀄
To become.
시작하다
To start.
행동하다
To act.
소개하다
To introduce.
발견하다
To discover. To find.
방문하다
To visit.
잃다
To lose.
잃어버리다
To lose.
벗다
To take off one's clothes.
웃다
To laugh. Adjectives.
부끄럽다
To be shy.
건강하다
To be healthy.
예쁘다
To be pretty. Adverbs.
미래 이퀄 퓨처 이제 이퀄 나우 현재 이퀄
Now present. Conjugating.
이다
In earlier lessons, you learned a lot about conjugating verbs and adjectives. Exactly 3 things can be conjugated in Korean: verbs, adjectives and
이다
the conjugation of
이다
is different than verbs and adjectives. Actually, there are many times where
이다
behaves differently than verbs and adjectives, which you will learn in future lessons. In this lesson, you will learn how to conjugate,
이다
and you will see how the conjugation differs from verbs and adjectives. The sentence below shows the plain form, present tense conjugation of,
이다
which you have seen in lessons up to this point.
나는 선생님이다
I am a teacher. If the last letter of the noun before
이다
ends in a vowel, you can eliminate.
이
For example,
나는 의사다
I am a doctor.
나는 의사이다
I am a doctor. Both of the above can be seen as correct. Here, the pronunciation of
이
is merging with the pronunciation of the vowel in the noun. If you pronounce the 2 sentences above, you can see that there is very little difference. Conversely, if the last letter of the noun before
이다
is a consonant, this merging cannot happen. For example,
나는 선생님이다
I am a teacher. Correct.
나는 선생님다 incorrect
This merging of
이다
does not happen because it has nothing to merge with. Furthermore, if you try to pronounce,
선생님다
it just doesn't flow properly. It is hard to get your mouth to move from the sound immediately to the sound. This same principle occurs in other conjugations of
이다
but it is a little bit more complex. In almost every case, you can conjugate
이다
differently depending on if the noun it is being attached to ends in a vowel or consonant. The reason they are conjugated differently is similar to the example above with
의사다
versus.
의사이다
Here, the pronunciation of
이
is being merged with something, and can therefore disappear. You will learn about each conjugation specifically, but I will give you an example here to prepare you for all the future explanations. Try not to worry about the meanings of these sentences, and just focus on what I am presenting, as you will learn later, when conjugating
이다
into the past tense in the plain form
얻다
is added to the stem of.
이다 이
This is actually quite simple for you to understand, because every other verb and adjective follows this same rule. For example,
의사이었다 선생님이었다
however, the pronunciation of
이었다
can merge to
였다
when the noun that it is being attached to ends in a vowel. For example, both of these are correct.
의사이었다 의사였다
Pronounce both of those, and listen to how little of a difference there is between the two. Not only that, the pronunciation of both of those is very easy and it flows off the tongue. Conversely,
이
an
얻다
cannot merge when the noun it is added to ends in a consonant. For example,
선생님이었다 correct 선생님이었다 incorrect.
pronounce both of those and listen the difference. Not only that,
선생님이었다.
is hard to pronounce. It is difficult to move your mouth from the
미음,
sound directly to the
여.
sound. It is much easier to pronounce it like this.
나는 선생님, 다.
Although I am only talking about the past tense plain form in this example, this same rule applies in many situations. If you keep this in mind when learning the conjugations in this lesson, they will be much easier to grasp.
이다,
Present tense.
Conjugating
이다.
to the present tense is relatively confusing compared to the past tense because new syllables are added with no real logic behind them, whereas past conjugations are simply done by connecting the stem
이,
to the typical past tense addition of.
얻다.
Present tense conjugations have additions that are not seen with any other verb or adjective. Let's talk about these first. Informal low respect. Add
이야,
to a word ending in a consonant, or
이야.
to a word ending in a vowel.
나는 좋은 학생이야.
I am a good student.
그것은 책이야.
That thing is a book.
나는 선생님이야.
I am a teacher.
이것은 여권이야.
This is a passport.
그것은 사과야.
That thing is an apple.
나는 의사야.
I am a doctor.
야구는 좋은 스포츠야.
Baseball is a good sport. When conjugating,
아니다.
in this respect, you simply add
야,
to.
아니다. 나는 학생이 아니야.
I am not a student.
그것은 책이 아니야.
That thing is not a book. Informal high respect. Add
이에요.
to a word ending in a consonant, or
예요.
to a word ending in a vowel.
그것은 사진이에요.
That thing is a picture.
저는 선생님이에요.
I am a teacher.
저는 좋은 학생이에요.
I am a good student.
이 사람은 저의 누나예요.
This person is my sister.
저는 의사예요.
I am a doctor.
저것은 사과예요.
That thing is an apple. When conjugating,
아니다.
in this respect, you simply add
에요.
to.
아니다. 저는 학생이 아니에요.
I am not a student. Note that Korean people are often confused if they need to add
예요.
or
에요.
to.
아니다.
Therefore, it is not uncommon to see somebody use
아니에요.
formal high respect, add
입니다. 물결이 풀렸습니다.
to words ending in a vowel or consonant.
저는 의사입니다.
I am a doctor.
그 사람은 저의 형입니다.
That person is my brother.
저는 선생님입니다.
I am a teacher.
저는 좋은 학생입니다.
I am a good student.
이 고기는 돼지고기입니다.
This meat is pork. With words ending in vowels, you can eliminate
이,
and attach
입니다.
directly to the word. This is more commonly done in conversation, and not usually written, when conjugating.
아니다.
In this respect, you must add
입니다.
directly to.
아니다.
For example,
저는 의사가 아닙니다.
I am not a doctor.
저는 학생이 아닙니다.
I am not a student.
그것은 저의 직업이 아닙니다.
That thing is not my job.
그것은 저의 여권이 아닙니다.
That thing is not my passport.
그 건물은 극장이 아닙니다.
That building is not a theater. Full stop. Full stop.
이다.
Past tense, conjugating.
이다.
To the past tense is simple, and is done by connecting
이,
to
업,
when the last syllable in a word ends in a vowel,
이 플러스 업,
can combine to make
역,
informal low respect, add
이었어,
to all words, if the word ends in a vowel,
이었어,
can contract to
였어 나는 바쁜 선생님이었어.
I was a busy teacher.
나는 학생이었어.
I was a student.
나는 선생님이었어.
I was a teacher.
나는 나쁜 애기였어.
I was a bad baby.
나는 나쁜 의사였어.
I was a bad doctor. Informal high respect. This conjugation is the same as above. Informal low respect. except for that,
요,
is added to the end of,
이역,
or,
역,
that is, you should add,
이었어요,
to all words, if the word ends in a vowel,
이었어요,
can contract to,
였어요. 그것은 큰 비밀이었어요.
that was a big secret.
저는 선생님이었어요.
I was a teacher.
저는 의사였어요.
I was a doctor.
저는 나쁜 애기였어요.
I was a bad baby. Plain form, same as above, but you should add the regular,
다,
ending instead of.
어요,
That is, you should add,
이었다,
to all words, if the word ends in a vowel,
이었다,
can contract to.
였다. 나는 선생님이었다.
I was a teacher.
나는 의사였다.
I was a doctor. Formal high respect. Add,
이었습니다.
to all words, if the word ends in a vowel,
이었습니다.
can contract to.
였습니다다. 저는 선생님이었습니다.
I was a teacher.
저는 의사였습니다.
I was a doctor. In all situations in the past tense,
아니다.
is conjugated just like any other word. An example of each respect.
나는 학생이 아니었어. 나는 학생이 아니었다. 저는 학생이 아니었어요. 저는 학생이 아니었습니다.
The weird thing is that Korean speakers sometimes would use these.
나는 학생이 아니었어. 나는 학생이 아니었다. 저는 학생이 아니었어요. 저는 학생이 아니었습니다.
Just going by the rules of the language, I'd have to assume that the first set is correct. I base this on the fact that in no other word do we add
역,
to a stem. In other words,
역,
is created from,
이 플러스 역,
but it is never added as a standalone thing. How to actually conjugate verbs adjectives to the future tense. In lesson 6, you learned how to conjugate words to the future tense by adding
겠어요. 겠다. 겠습니다.
to the word stem, though adding
겠,
to a word stem is one way to conjugate words to the future. There is a more common way to conjugate to do this. Before learning how to do to this, you needed to learn more grammar first, namely, how to conjugate
이다.
properly. Either way,
겠,
is still used in Korean, but not as much as the method you are about to learn. For verbs or adjectives, when conjugating into the future tense, you must first add
을,
to the stem of the word. When you add
을,
to a word stem,
리을,
gets attached directly to stems ending in a vowel, and
을,
gets added onto stems ending in a consonant. For example,
가다.
ends in a vowel, so
가다 플러스 을, 갈 먹다.
ends in a consonant, so.
먹다 플러스 을, 먹을.
There is also one irregular involved with adding
을,
to a stem. You were introduced to this irregular briefly in lesson 7, but I could not teach it to you perfectly because you didn't know about.
을,
At that point, if a stem ends in a final consonant that is,
을,
when adding,
을,
you actually don't add anything. That sounds weird, but it is true. Check it out.
갈다.
Is a word where the stem ends in a consonant, so you would normally add.
을, 갈 플러스 을, 갈을.
But saying this is weird. Try to pronounce that.
갈을.
Instead, it is way easier to just say.
갈.
Anyways, that's it for the irregular, comma. This is going to sound extremely complicated, and it is. Adding
을,
to the stem of an adjective changes it to a word that can describe a noun in the future tense. For example,
행복한 사람.
happy person,
행복할 사람.
a person that will be happy. Similarly, this is where it gets complicated. Adding
을물.
to a stem of a verb turns it into a word that can describe a noun in the future.
먹을 음식.
The food that will be eaten. If you can't understand the explanation between the lines, don't worry. That level of grammar is very difficult to grasp at this stage of learning. That grammar will be discussed very deeply in lessons 26-29. If you want to jump ahead to those lessons, feel free. However, the mechanics within the grammar are not important to you yet. Adding
을물.
to the stem of an adjective allows that adjective to describe a noun in the future tense. Adding
을물.
to the stem of a verb allows that verb to describe a noun in the future tense. Because these newly formed words can describe nouns, they must be followed by a noun. What does all this have to do with conjugating into the future? When Korean people conjugate to the future, they usually do so by adding
을물,
to a verb adjective. This is essentially the same as adding
는,
to an adjective stem which you already know.
좋다, 좋은,
You should know, however, that you cannot end a sentence like this,
나는 좋은,
because
좋은,
is an adjective that modifies a noun. A noun must follow.
좋은, 나는 좋은 사람,
Now, to end the sentence, you need to add
이다,
to the noun.
나는 좋은 사람이다.
I am a good person. So, again, when Korean people conjugate verbs adjectives to the future, they usually do so by adding
을물,
to the word stem.
나는 행복할, 나는 먹을, 나는 공부할.
But this changes verbs adjectives into an adjectives that describe nouns. Therefore, just like
좋은,
a noun must follow these words, the noun that is always used in this situation is
것,
thing.
나는 행복할 것, 나는 먹을 것, 나는 공부할 것.
Now, to end those sentences, you need to add
이다,
to the noun.
나는 행복할 것이다, 나는 먹을 것이다, 나는 공부할 것이다.
If you try to directly translate these sentences to English, they have the meaning, I am a thing who will be happy, I am a thing who will eat, I am a thing who will study, but their actual meanings are,
나는 행복할 것이다.
I will be happy,
나는 먹을 것이다.
I will eat,
나는 공부할 것이다.
I will study. The
이다,
can then be conjugated based on the level of politeness or formality, but keep in mind that even though this sentence is conjugated into the future, the
이다,
should stay in the present tense, because the
을,
creates a future sentence,
이다,
does not need to be in the future,
것,
is also sometimes shortened to,
거,
for no other reason than it is easier to say and creates a shorter sentence. For example, these two are exactly the same.
저는 밥을 먹을 것이에요.
I will eat rice.
저는 밥을 먹을 거예요.
I will eat rice. Notice that
이에요.
is added when,
것,
which ends in a consonant, is used then,
예요.
is added when,
거,
which ends in a vowel, is used. This is the same rule that you learned earlier in the lesson when conjugating.
이다,
Depending on if the final letter of a noun ends in a consonant or vowel, note that Korean people are often confused if they need to add
이에요.
or,
예요.
or,
에요.
to,
거,
in these cases. Therefore, it is not uncommon to see somebody use
할 거예요.
other examples.
나는 내일 친구를 만날 것이야.
I will meet my friend tomorrow.
나는 내일 친구를 만날 거야.
I will meet my friend tomorrow.
저는 내일 학교에 갈 것입니다.
I will go to school tomorrow.
저는 영어를 공부할 거예요.
I will study English. Irregulars come into play when adding
을,
to a verb or adjective because of the possibility of adding a vowel to a stem. Let's look at the word.
걷다,
As an example,
걷다,
has a consonant as its final letter, which means that
을,
must be added instead of.
을,
Therefore, we end up with.
거들,
Because of this, we now have the final consonant followed by a vowel, which causes the
디귿,
irregular to be applied. The correct conjugation of
걷다 플러스 을 것이다.
is therefore.
걸을 것이다.
Below is a table that shows how
을,
affects each of the irregulars that you learned in lesson 7. Irregular example word does this apply? Application.
시옷,
Irregular.
짓다,
Build. Yes.
지을 것이다.
Irregular.
걷다,
Walk. Yes.
걸을 것이다.
Irregular.
쉽다,
Easy. Yes.
쉬울 것이다. 아이,
Irregular.
잠그다,
Lock. No.
잠글 것이다. 르,
Irregular.
부르다,
Call. No.
부를 것이다. 을,
Irregular.
열다,
Open. Yes.
열 것이다.
Here is one example sentence.
저는 문을 열 거예요.
I will open the door.
열 플러스 을 이퀄 열.
future,
이다.
using,
되다.
conjugating.
이다.
To the future tense is the same as is done above, but it is also possible to use another verb.
되다. 되다.
Is one of the hardest words in Korean, mainly because it has so many meanings. You will be introduced to each of these meanings as you progress through our lessons, but the first meaning of
되다.
is to become, which is slightly different than to be. Let me introduce the word
되다.
to you by showing you examples of it being used in the past tense. Note the way
되다.
is used
이가.
is attached to the noun that the subject becomes instead of.
를 저는 선생님이 되었어요.
I became a teacher, which is slightly different than
저는 선생님이었어요.
I was a teacher. Very similar, but the difference between to become and to be, which in this case is in the past tense of was, is become suggests that prior to that time, the situation was different. I'm sure you get it, but let me describe it using English examples. I became a teacher last year. I was a teacher last year. When you say I became a teacher last year, you are indicating that, before last year you were not a teacher, but last year you became a teacher. When you say I was a teacher last year, you are not specifying if you were a teacher before that time as well, or even if you are still a teacher. All you are specifying is that you were a teacher last year, and no other information is given.
되다.
Can be used in the present tense as well, and again differs slightly from
이다.
I'll save examples for when I've presented more grammar principles further into the course. My whole purpose in mentioning it is to explain the application to the future tense. First off, it is awkward to conjugate
이다.
to the future tense using.
겠다 나는 선생님이겠다.
If you want to say that something will be something in the future, because of the nature of the word,
되다.
there is no real difference if you use
되다.
or.
이다.
For example,
저는 곧 선생님이 될 것입니다.
I will become a teacher soon.
저는 곧 선생님일 거예요.
I will be a teacher soon. Other examples.
나는 미래의 의사가 될 거야.
I will become a doctor in the future.
나는 미래의 의사일 거야.
I will be a doctor in the future.
한국이 곧 좋은 나라가 될 것이다.
Korea will become a good country soon.
한국이 곧 좋은 나라일 것이다.
Korea will be a good country soon.
이 장소는 공원이 될 것이다.
This place will become a park.
이 장소는 공원일 것이다.
This place will be a park. I just want to point out here that the
1.
you are seeing above is not the word.
1.
Rather it is the future conjugation, using the conjugation taught in the lesson, of,
이다. 선생님이다.
becomes.
선생님 플러스 이다 플러스 을 것이다.
As you build vocabulary, you will be able to apply this same format of sentences to create sentences like, this place will become a park next year. I will become a doctor in a few months. In Lesson 11, you will learn the vocabulary necessary to create those types of sentences. The sentences above using
이다.
and
되다.
in the future tense can be used to make negative sentences as well. When making the negative form of a
되다.
sentence, you can just add
안.
or,
지 않다.
just like with any other verb or adjective. When making the negative form of an
이다.
sentence, you should use.
아니다.
You can change each pair of sentences above to a negative sentence. For example,
나는 미래의 의사가 되지 않을 거야.
I won't become a doctor in the future.
나는 미래의 의사가 아닐 거야.
I won't be a doctor in the future.
한국이 곧 좋은 나라가 되지 않을 거야.
Korea won't become a good country soon.
한국이 곧 좋은 나라가 아닐 거야.
Korea won't be a good country soon.
이 장소는 공원이 되지 않을 거야.
This place won't become a park.
이 장소는 공원이 아닐 거야.
This place won't be a park. Those sentences, while kind of ridiculous, are all grammatically correct. I can't think of any time when you would actually want to say a sentence like that, but they are all possible if the right situation came up. Most of the time, there would be a better way to say each of the sentences above. For example, instead of saying,
나는 미래의 의사가 되지 않을 거야.
I won't become a doctor in the future. It would probably be more natural to say something like I don't want to become a doctor in the future. You will learn how to say this, and other grammatical principles that can make your speech more natural as you progress along with your studies. For now, try to understand what is being done grammatically, and don't worry too much about when you would actually use a sentence like that. One other quick thing, and I really don't want to spend too much time on this because I have already overwhelmed you with grammar in this lesson. However, the future conjugation of
이다,
is introduced in this lesson, and I feel this needs to be talked about here. By using the future
을 것이다,
conjugation on,
이다,
you can also create a sentence where the speaker is guessing about a certain situation in the present tense. Look at some examples first.
그 사람이 의사일 거예요.
That person is probably most likely a doctor.
그것은 여권일 거예요.
That thing is probably most likely a passport.
문제는 돈일 거예요.
The problem is probably most likely money. These sentences as well can be said using
아니다,
instead of.
이다, 그 사람이 의사가 아닐 거야.
That person is probably most likely not a doctor.
그것은 여권이 아닐 거야.
That thing is probably most likely not a passport.
문제는 돈이 아닐 거야.
The problem is probably most likely not money. Notice that in these cases the speaker is not talking about him herself. Also, even though the sentence is conjugated into the future tense, the speaker is guessing that something is the case in the present tense. Thus, it is weird to include time indicators in these sentences, for example next year or in a few months from now, because the speaker is not trying to create this meaning. The question then becomes, how can I distinguish if somebody is saying one of these guessing sentences or saying something will become something? You'll learn continuously throughout your Korean studies that understanding a Korean sentence is all about context, and the situation almost always makes it clear what the speaker wants to express. For now, rather than concern yourself with the guessing nuances, I suggest focusing on how to use the
을 것이다,
form to conjugate verbs adjectives into the future tense, and realize that
되다,
can be used instead of
이다.
when conjugating to the future tense. For more info, please visit howtostudiokorean.com.